At the heart of Jamaica's most painful headlines is one word: gangs. And while some people casually scroll past news stories of murder and mayhem, Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, isn't letting the dust settle. He stood before the nation with one clear message: the government is not easing up on gangs. Not now, not ever. Because the real war isn't just about guns and bodies, it's about reclaiming the soul of Jamaica. Gangs aren't just hiding in back alleys, they're in plain sight. They're in our communities, and sometimes even in our homes. Dr. Chang says they're recruiting the poor, the vulnerable, and the overlooked. And gangs now function like corporations. They target talent, they offer loyalty, they give opportunities, but those do not lead to life. They pull in the youth who feel they have nothing to live for and offer them something to die for. But the government is moving into a new gear. Yes, they're still sending in the police. But this time, it's not just about raids and arrests, it's about rebuilding. Dr. Chang spoke passionately about dismantling the recruitment pool by transforming communities. Not with temporary jobs or quick fixes, but with long-term investments, better schools, skills training, access to healthcare, and clean streets. Because if gangs find soldiers in broken places, then the only way to stop them is to fix those places.
So we have been doing a lot of work on the social intervention side, but it will allow us now to focus more heavily on the social side, because the public order allows us to get our schools in order. School violence is a serious problem. That's where the recruitment comes from. It means resources besides the school resource officer has to be put in the school, and we begin to deal with the families in the difficult communities. But it has to be holistic, just as we did for the police, where we invested in human resources, infrastructure, training, and equipment and modernization. We'll have to look at several of these communities where gangs are recruited and become embedded. The leading gangsters don't stay in the community, you know. They have enough money to establish their homes elsewhere, and I mean the tragedy of the state of emergency sometimes just passed by as one of the errors, but it reflects what gangsters were living in certain areas. And we end up in some tragedy, I agree, but I understand, but that is the nature of it. They have bases in community where they operate from, and they adopt the color of the political party, which is in the particular area. We'll have to get into those communities and rebuild the communities. Ensure they have quality schools, quality public health, quality recreational, and all the activities that lead to a successful community and a healthy community.
Dr. Chang, Jamaica's Deputy Prime Minister, spoke at the launch of the 2023 Jamaica National Crime Victimization Survey report. He stressed that the police force is more than ready to continue to destabilize gangs whose numbers have already been cut in half.
We set about transform our police force from being one, too small, under-trained, under-equipped, and working in extremely difficult conditions. The ministry staff led on that, and it has gone very well, and today I think we're at a turning point. We're not complete, we're still investing heavily, but we now have our police force for the first time at establishment level, 14,000 and just about plus or minus 100, which gives the police significant numeric strength in dealing with the many hotspots and criminal gangs across the island. We also have a commissioner of police who is recognized as one of the leading planners in using empirical data to disrupt gangs. It's now accepted. I think there's some work done by some mathematicians using discrete mathematics. I'm not going into the details. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm a scientist training, and I know the outcomes. And they have used it effectively in analyzing gangs and terrorist groups. And this police commissioner actually has some skill in that area and is working with his team to look empirically at the gangs, and they have had significant progress in disrupting gangs. I think the unit in my ministry that analyzed this will say we have reduced the gangs by more than half.
The country's current success in slashing the crime rate would not have been reflected in the 2023 report by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, which found that 86.6% of Jamaicans believe crime has increased across the country. However, while most Jamaicans feel crime is rising nationally, over 55% say their communities are stable. That tells us something powerful. It says people believe in their neighborhoods, their neighbors, and their day-to-day spaces. It means there's still hope, a flicker of light. We can grow. And that hope becomes even more real when you hear that more than 80% of Jamaicans feel safe in their own homes, churches, schools, and workplaces. That means, despite everything, our people are resilient. They're holding on, but they shouldn't have to hold on alone. Now here's the second gut punch. Personal victimization has increased. In 2019, about 10.8% of people had been personally affected by crime. In 2023, that number jumped to 14.2%. That means more mothers, more sons, and more shopkeepers are being hurt directly. Here's what you probably didn't expect. In the places where crime is worst, people often report the strongest sense of community. That's because trauma bonds people. But trauma also creates silence, and silence is where gangs thrive. That's why one of the boldest parts of the strategy is not just rebuilding physically, it's about rebuilding trust between the police and the people, between neighbors, between young men and their sense of purpose. Now let's talk about children, because gangs don't wait until someone turns 18. They start early. They watch, they groom, they recruit in schoolyards and bus stops. That's why the findings around child safety matter. Over 83% of respondents believe their children are safe in their communities. That's not just comforting. It's a call to action. It means we have a window, a brief, precious window, to protect the next generation before the streets pull them in. Here are 4 bonus facts that bring it all home. 1. Gangs operate in over 200 communities across Jamaica. That's not just a hotspot, that's a network. 2. Only about 1 in 10 crimes are reported to the police. That means the actual numbers are far worse than we know. 3. Community-based interventions have been shown to reduce violence by up to 40%. The right strategy does work. 4. The majority of gang members are under the age of 25. This is a youth crisis in disguise. Gangs may be organized, but so is hope. So is change. The National Security Minister and his team, including members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, are determined to continue to cut the rate of murders and criminality across Jamaica.